Hi, I'm Tyson Franklin, and welcome back to this special episode of the Podiatry Legends podcast. You may have noticed there was different introduction music, and the reason for that is because I have a co-host for this particular episode. It is Carly O'Donoghue, and we are doing a monthly book review. So, Carly, how are you doing? And thank you for joining me for
Oh,
this
no worries.
amazing idea that you and I put together.
I know. So full of good ideas. No, it's really exciting. This podcast will be great.
I thought it was your idea
It
to do
was
a
my
monthly
idea,
book
yeah.
review. Yeah,
But,
that's why
thanks
you're
for
on here.
joining me, Tyson.
Yeah. There were 10 other people I was going to ask, but since it was your idea, we thought
Might as well pick me.
No, you let me come on your show.
Yeah, thank you.
So explain what the purpose of this podcast is all about.
Look, wouldn't it, like, we love reading books, Tyson. You and I love reading books. And wouldn't it be nice that before you purchased a book or before you invested the time into reading a book, you could have a sneak peek into how the author tells their story. So what messages they focus on and whether it's actually going to be worth it for you. So this is what the podcast is about. And hopefully we can do a good job of delivering this to our listeners.
Yeah, I actually was listening to a podcast just recently, and it said if you pick up a book, and a lot of times you've committed to it, you've paid the money, you read the first 10 pages. If you're not liking the book, they said just put it down and move on to the next one.
Yeah, it's pretty demotivational, I think.
Yeah, I think what we're doing here is we've both picked a book, we've read it, we've enjoyed it, and then we can share it with people and say, this book is awesome, so they know they're not wasting their money when they buy it.
Yeah, it's a cracker of a book, this one, and I can't wait to get into it.
Okay, so should we hold up what the book is?
Oh, probably. There we go.
We are reviewing The Practice by Seth Godin.
And those who are watching the video, I've got all these Post-it notes everywhere. It's one of these books that, you just, once you're reading it, you're just taking notes all the time. It's brilliant.
Yeah, let people know too. If you're listening to this, if you're listening to the podcast, great. But we are also uploading this to my YouTube channel, Tyson E. Franklin. Just go and find it on there. And yes, it is The Practice, Shipping Creative Work by best-selling author Seth Godin, or Godin. Depends how you say it.
Godin, I said. I pronounced it Godin, but
Godin.
Don't quote
I'd say
me.
Godin. Yeah. Don't quote us on that.
Don't quote me.
Okay, so let's get on. But the idea of this podcast too is we want to keep it short and sweet, about 30 minutes if we can. But I like to talk, so does Carly.
Yeah, and we'll just cut that out. We'll just edit that out.
Cut out all the gibberish. So, but if you're listening to this, you probably find the podcast is going to be edited down quite tightly, but the YouTube video will probably be a little bit longer. So you'll get some extended stuff if you watch the video. Get to see our smiling faces. Notice I didn't shave for the occasion.
That's right. Look, to start off, I just wanted to read a little bit from the book just to get our listeners into the zone of what the practice means. So the practice, the title of the book. So just to unpack this a little bit. So the practice is there if we're willing to sign up for it. And the practice will open the door to the change you seek to make. Just turning the page.
Just to remind people too, we actually have notes too. We do. Normally when I do a podcast, I don't have any notes. Whereas with this, we do have notes because we want to make sure we cover some of the main points that we took away from the book.
Yeah. So another thing that Seth says right at the beginning that will set the tone for the book is the practice is not the means to the output. The practice is the output because the practice is all we can control.
And what does he mean by practice?
Pretty deep.
Very deep. It will make sense. The practice
deep.
part will actually make sense.
It will. Yeah. Yeah. Like the practice, it's what you're doing every day. It's to get into a routine. And I'll go through this at one of the first points later. But Tyson, do you want to talk about shipping creative work? Because sometimes the title of the book can be a little bit confusing.
It was funny. I was given this book by somebody as a gift. And I'd seen it at the bookshop and thought, oh, that looks like something I'd like to read because I think Seth's a great author.
Yeah.
And I'd seen it, but then somebody sent it to me. So I was a bit apprehensive on whether I wanted to buy or not because the title said shipping creative work. And I'm going, okay, well, I'm a bit of a creative, so that's probably why I like it. But for other people who don't feel they're creative, I think the title could sometimes be a little bit off-putting. But if you break it down, what he means by the word shipping is it doesn't count if you don't share it. So the shipping is about whatever it is you're creating, you're sharing it with other people. The creative part, he was saying, yeah, you're a creator if you're a problem solver. And I think podiatrists are problem solvers. Therefore, what we're doing is creating a solution. And the work, it's basically remembering that whatever it is that we're doing as podiatrists, it's not a hobby. And you may not get paid for all the effort that you put in now, but if you're a professional, you do it anyway. And the payday may come 6 months down the track. It might come a decade later. But if you don't put the work in now, you're never going to reap the rewards from it. So it's shipping creative work. That's the title.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a good point. And the book actually chunks down the information into about 8 parts or chapters. And within there's numbered points within each chapter. So what I like about
what's good about it is you can be reading it with somebody else and go, oh, did you read point 67? And you go, oh, hang on. And you flick through and you go, oh, that's good. So it's great.
Yeah, it's the point of difference with the book. And I think that what Seth Godin really, Godin, sorry. God, I even said his name wrong. Sorry, Seth. Sorry, Seth. If you're listening, sorry about that.
If you're listening, Seth, we apologize for that mistake.
Look, he sets out the book, this way he sets out the book. It makes it extremely easy to read. And so you can go back to the section that resonated with you. And that's why I had all those post-it notes on the book. So the paragraphs are only, they're no more than 1 or 2 pages long, the points, sorry. Some are just small little paragraphs. And so it gets you into the frame of mind that you're in. You can follow it quite clearly.
Well, some are really short. If someone's watching the video, you can see it on here. That some of the points as you run through it, they're very quick to actually go through. And it's also one of those books I've mentioned before, I talk about the book gods. Not that I'm a religious person, but there are book gods. And this is one of those books that you're going, oh, I need some inspiration. You can grab this book, open it at any page, read something, and you'll probably get an idea from it.
Yep.
So Carly and I have decided we read the book each.
Yeah.
We both read the book.
Not together, not as a bedtime story.
Yeah, we didn't sit next to each other reading it or ding a bell to turn the page, but we both read the book and we went away and we said, okay, let's share our favorite points from this particular book. So, and then what we're going to do is Carly's going to share her point and they'll both comment on it briefly, and then I'll share mine and we're going to go through it. So there's about 5 points that we're going to run through. And the first point was really just explaining the title. So Carly, you're going to get into point number 2.
Oh, point number 2.
Or your takeaway. This is your takeaway.
My takeaway. This is actually the biggest takeaway, I think, for me, for the book. It's point number 6 of the book. So it's really early on in the book. And the title is Learning to Juggle. So, it's one of the fundamentals that I took away from the book, which is the title, the practice, and the learning to juggle is part of this practice. So in juggling, you have throwing and you have catching.
Pretty simple.
Now that's right. Now your practice is the thing that you do every day, and the practice isn't the catching, which many of us focus our attention on. So Seth tells us, don't focus on the catching, focus on the throwing. So many of us focus on, client revenue at the end of the day, and the client revenue actually is the catching. Now, this will come naturally if you get your throw right. So don't focus on the end result. The revenue will come, the success will come, but only if your focus is your throwing.
That makes sense.
And your throwing is your basics. No.
So I can juggle. I can juggle. And excuse me. Yeah, I can juggle. And it is, if you do a bad throw, your catch is going to be really difficult, or you won't catch it. You'll miss it. So it is really important that it's the consistent throwing on a regular basis. The same pattern is basically how you start. So it's all about the throw.
Absolutely. So if your throw is off, you'll be running around trying to catch the ball. So you're wasting energy. And everyone who is listening and will no doubt resonate with that point. The wasted energy focusing on the wrong thing. So, my earpiece fell out.
So what you're saying, so the revenue in a podiatry business is the catch. It's the end result. of the throw. So the throw is everything else you do that leads to the revenue. So if you only focus on the revenue and not focus on all the work, creative work that you need to ship leading up to that, the revenue won't be there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the throwing, the great rapport you have with clients, providing great treatments or services, your consistent marketing strategies, throw, and the catching will actually take care of itself. So it's a huge point of the book. I loved it.
Yeah, it is, because it's, like I said, I juggle. So I totally understand the concept. And if you have never tried to juggle before, watch a video on how to juggle and then practice doing it. And you'll realize that when you do a good throw and you actually catch it, you go, oh my God, that was easier than I thought. And then when you do the next one, you go, that was easier than I thought. And it just builds from there.
Well, recent events, the Australian Open. Now, if you're serving the ball, if your throw isn't right, your serve isn't going to be good. So you're not going to get the outcome. So the tennis players, to get good at their craft, practice the throwing. So therefore they can serve well. It's no different from running a business.
And you've seen that with the tennis too, where they'll throw the ball up every now and they go, oh, and they just catch it again. They didn't hit it because they knew that throw that went up was not right.
Yeah, that's right. Everyone makes mistakes. Reset, start again, not a problem.
So before we go on to the next point, we actually have a sponsor for this episode.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
How exciting is that?
Yeah, let's get to it.
Okay, so our sponsor is Precedence, which is a website development business in Cairns. They're based in Cairns. They have 21 website developers running around there. And they actually have got another side business set up called PodiatryClinicWebsites.com. And they are specializing in doing podiatry or podiatrist websites.
Yeah. So if you're running a podiatry clinic, you've got to have a killer website. It's the first thing potential patients will see when they're looking for a podiatry clinic, and you want to make sure that you're making a really good first impression. So a good website.
It's true. It's nothing worse than a bad first impression.
Yeah. So, everyone has a good website, but what we're looking at great websites. What's going to set you apart? So, your good website, it has, where you're located, when you're open, what services you offer. But you'd actually be surprised when you're looking around how many clinics don't have these basics in place.
That was a lot. I've gone to a lot of websites where you'll go to it, and when you look at the website, I'm going, where the hell are you? I'm trying to find a phone number. I'm trying to find an address. And it's because they probably think, oh, well, everybody just knows where we are. But no, not everybody does.
No, so what about if you want
to, but if you want to have a great website, you need all the basics, but you also need to have a place where your patients can make appointments, book it online, because I do that all the time.
Yep.
And I think it's really important to highlight exactly the type of patients you want to see should be in the forefront of that website. So if you want running patients, then your website should be screaming, I want running patients. If you want high-risk feet, your website should scream, I want high-risk feet.
Yeah. And that's what sets you apart to a great website. And that's what Precedence does. It can help you set yourself apart and have a great website instead of a good website. And a great website, you gain trust and you gain credibility with your potential patients. And it's so important.
Sure. And I think Precedence did your website, and they do my website as well.
Yep. So we're speaking from experience here. We're not just trying to spruik something that, falls on our lap. Like, we both use this company and we can vouch for them.
Yeah. So what you need to do is go and check out PodiatryClinicWebsites.com, and all the information is there. So let's move on to the next point. It is point number 3. And now I've got to see if I can say this properly. I've been practicing this. And
I've got nothing. Yeah.
Askeda Ekmek. Now, that's Turkish. So if there's anyone Turkish listening to this, I apologize if I just really butchered that. But this was actually in the early part of the book as well. And point number 4. And it actually means there's bread on the hook. People listening,
Please explain. Please explain.
That makes a lot of sense. So it says they have a tradition that in Turkey that when you're buying bread, you can actually buy an extra loaf and you can leave it on the hook at the bakery for somebody else who is actually in need. The bread is then shared, and as a community, the hunger is relieved. And I went, bloody hell,
It's a great idea, isn't it?
I love the idea. And because
great concept.
Because when you create creative work and your work solves a problem, it doesn't just benefit you, it also benefits others that actually come across it. I actually think if our local bakery did this,
you'd be on board straight away, wouldn't you?
Yeah. If they said, oh, you can buy an extra loaf and we put it on a hook over here for people who are in need, I would do it in a heartbeat. I wouldn't even think about it.
Yep. And that's what he tries to tie in.
Yeah. Can I stamp can I put my logo on the loaf of bread? I'll buy 5
Staple
loaves.
A business card to it. Yeah.
I'll buy 5 loaves.
I don't think that was the point of the book.
No, it probably wasn't. But as a podiatrist, you're putting yourself out there. So you're putting your creativity out there, and you're putting it on the hook every time you create a video, whether you're doing a blog, whether it's an audio recording, for your patients to actually solve their problems. And it's no different to what we're doing on this particular podcast.
Yep.
When my YouTube channel, on my website for podiatrists, I'm creating and I'm putting bread on the hook for hungry podiatrists. So whether it's a podiatrist or patient, if they're not hungry right now, they'll just walk past it. I don't need it. But those that are hungry will say, oh, that's exactly what I need right now. Yeah. So it's really important for podiatrists to put the bread on the hook, is to constantly be creating stuff, putting it out there. And yes, the person what you're creating now someone may not want it today, but they may want it tomorrow, next week, or next year.
Yeah. So the point is, don't be disheartened if, say, you're a podiatrist, you've got a patient come in the room, you're doing a fabulous job in the treatment room, you're offering all your services, but don't rebook an appointment. You've actually just shared something with that patient that they will take home with them. And they might rebook with you in 2 weeks' time. They might rebook with you in 2 months' time. They might actually share their story to somebody else that they know that will actually make an appointment with you. So it's really important to just keep going, keep sharing, keep shipping.
Yeah, and it's also important too that when you've seen a patient is to always be nurturing that relationship, whether it's through newsletters or free information that you're giving to patients on a regular basis. So even if they don't do something, exactly what you said, Carly, their next door neighbor might say, oh, I have a sore heel. And they go, oh yeah, so did I. And even if they didn't finish doing the treatment with you, they'll say, oh, I saw Carly or I saw Tyson. They will mention you because you've been giving them the information. Like I said, it's no different to you and I reviewing this book. Is there'll be somebody who will listen to this. We're putting some bread on the hook for the person.
Right. I mean, Seth doesn't know we're doing it. He might be our friend afterwards. I don't know. We might get phone calls. You never know. But it's sharing information. It's sharing good books that we know.
Might get a card from him or something like that.
Might get a Christmas card. Possibly. Yeah.
Hey, what's really funny? I remember 2017. I shot a video. Did a 3-minute little review video on something that Tim Ferriss had done. And when I shot that video, all of a sudden Tim Ferriss saw it, and then he shared it with. This is the only video. One of my short little videos I did that just had thousands and thousands and thousands of downloads because Tim Ferriss shared it. Yeah.
Yep. That's good. So, but we are doing this for our listeners, and if Seth wants to get on board, that's cool.
Seth, get on board. By me. Okay, what's the next part? I like this one.
This one is amazing. It's early on in the book as well. It's called How to Draw an Owl. So it's not an artistic thing. However, I wanted to just touch on this point quickly, as I think Seth really makes you think about the difference between skill and talent. Now, we all come out of university with skills, not talent. Talent is actually earned by practicing, which is what the book is titled, The Practice, that the throwing that we were talking about, that type of thing. So, imagine, put your creative mind on, imagine drawing an owl. So I say, draw a circle at the top and then draw an oval at the bottom. Then you might, when you come out of university, your owl might have a circle at the top, an oval at the bottom, and you might put a couple of eyes and a beak and some weirdo looking wings on the side. You go, look, cool. I've now graduated. I can draw an owl.
Yeah.
But then you look at someone and their picture of an owl has all these details in it. So it has the details of the feathers, the details of the beak, the claws that hang over a branch that wasn't there in the first picture. That is the difference between having a skill and a talent. A talent is in the details. A talent is about you throw. It's starting, not finishing. It's about improving. It's about not being perfect, but it's about the detail. So big difference between skill and talent. If you think you can draw an owl, is it detailed enough?
Yeah. And I think a lot of
book.
people, when you first graduate, recent graduates, they sometimes look at someone that's been out 5, 10, 15 years and they go, oh, well, I don't think I'll ever know it as well as what they do. And they don't realize that all they've done is applied what you already know, and they've applied it more often, and they've refined it the more they do it. Just like the juggling. When you first juggle, you're throwing the balls all over the place and you're overreaching to try and grab the ball until eventually the more you do it, you start pulling it in and you get more refined. It's exactly,
right. So
exactly what happens with patience.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're juggling, you're throwing the balls everywhere, but you're actually catching them. You can go, oh, yeah, I can juggle. But if that someone is actually staying still, throwing the balls up in the air correctly, catching them, not breaking a sweat, that's talent. They're not running over the place trying to catch wayward balls here and there. It's the same thing about your practice. Once you practice those basics, get the details in there, you're creating your talent year after year.
Yeah. And it's like I say to people, yes, I can juggle. I have juggle balls. I actually have juggle balls all around the house.
Why?
Because I juggle. Because I tell you, I juggle. But if somebody
Excellent.
said to me, how good are you? I go, oh, I'm pretty good. They go, here's 3 eggs, juggle. Not that confident.
You don't have the detailed owl yet.
Yeah, I don't have the detailed owl. So it's something that, yes, I can do it to a certain point, but I wouldn't do it with eggs unless I was outside and they were boiled.
See, and I think it's really important for yourself to acknowledge how detailed your owl is.
Yeah.
So after a year of practicing, you just go, oh, I'm fantastic at what I do. And, realistically, you are fantastic at what you do for a year of podiatry.
Yeah.
You can still draw an owl and keep practicing drawing the owl, but you haven't got the details yet than someone who's 10 years out, purely because you haven't had enough throwing practice.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Next one is this one. This is point 87.
As you can see, I love the whole book. Like, I love this point. Love this point.
We said that. So good. We said that beforehand. We could have done a 14-hour podcast on this book. It's one of those things. There's a few books that I recommend that people read, and I've mentioned it heaps of times before. This is in that list now of books that I highly recommend everybody read. So point 87 is, where is your hour? ?
Where is your hour?
Yeah. So it's like, if you want to get in shape, you want to get fit and healthy. If you run, and this is the example he uses, if you run or go to the gym for, say, an hour, and you do that every day and you do it for 6 or 12 months, in the end, it will be done. You will be in shape. You can't help but be, unless you're going to sit down and then follow it up with 4 Big Mac hamburgers or something like that. So if you watch what I know. If you watch what you eat, you do the exercise, you do it for a period of time, you will be in shape. The difficult part is becoming the kind of person that goes to the gym or goes walking or goes running every day, because it's really easy to make an excuse not to do it.
The practice right there.
Yeah, it's just basically doing it. So you, as a podiatrist, you got to trust yourself to be the kind of person who engages in the process of delivering creative work. And some people say, oh, I don't have time. I don't have time to do creative work. But that same person will find an hour a day to check their emails, watch Netflix, eat, be on Facebook, listen to this awesome
rubbish excuse.
Listen to this awesome podcast.
Yeah, you can do that several times if you like. But yeah, not having time is such a rubbish excuse.
Oh.
And you need to prioritize what you want to achieve. And if it's not prioritized, you're not going to do it. So stop complaining that it's not done.
Yeah, it's just making the time. So the practice simply asks you to do it more than once and do it often enough that it actually becomes part of your practice.
Yeah.
So if you were going to shoot a video every week, become the type of podiatrist or the person that shoots a video every week. Yeah. Just keep putting the creative work out there. And yeah, as podiatry students, we got better by doing everything over and over again. And it was all about repetition. But we also had our lecturers and the university on our back. If you don't do it, you fail. So therefore, they made us do it. But as podiatrists, we have to do the same thing. However, it's up to us to actually do the work. There's no lecturers pushing us. There's no university saying, oh, no, we're going to take the degree back off of you
and that's a big difference.
Keep doing the work. Yeah. So will you be the type of podiatrist who will turn up every day and do the creative work, do the work that actually needs to get done to have a successful, not just business, but just career? If you're not working for yourself, that's fine. This is all about your
absolutely
career.
No difference. Yeah, absolutely no difference what you're doing. I'm a huge quote person. And so the people that know me well, I just love the quotes. One of my favorites is, I've forgotten it.
That's hilarious.
Because it's such a favorite.
It's so
of mine.
good. So good I forgot it. Yeah.
Yeah. Here we go. For something to change, something needs to change. And so what that means is resonated back to, where's your hour? Be the person you want to be. So if you want to be, if you want to be on time for patients, what do you have to change to actually do that? You have the power to change something. But if you want to change something that you're doing now has to change.
That makes total sense. So, like I said, we could keep talking about this book for ages and ages. We both recommend it. We both think it's a great read. Every person, whether you're in business or not, if you're a podiatrist and you want to improve your career, or if anyone who's watching this is not a podiatrist, this is just a book you need to read. The practice
it's not a podiatry book.
No,
it's but you know what?
If it was a podiatry book, I would have written it.
Yeah, I know, from Tyson. But if you're not feeling very motivated at the moment, and I at the beginning of the year, my motivation was actually quite low. Picked up this book, and it just gives you back your mojo, and it just really, really makes a positive impact on where you want to go for the year. So if you're feeling like you need a little bit of direction, buy this book and just see where it takes you.
Couldn't have said it any better. So we're pretty much wrapped up.
Yep.
We're going to be doing this. The idea is to have this podcast come out on the last Friday of each month. So what we're going to be doing is reading a book between now and the next episode coming out. What is the next book going to be, Carly? Are we going to give a hint?
Oh, man, yeah, we are. It's my mate Ash Barty. So Ash Barty's book, My Dream Time. And it's not a podiatry book, but what we're doing is not podiatry books. Let me give you,
and not just business books. So it's not just about business. No. We want to talk about books that we feel, yes, helped us in business, help us career, but help us in life in general, just as a person.
Yeah, that's right. So, this book is brilliant. Again, there's a lot to unpack in this book, and I know you guys are going to love it. I'll read something from the book. It's all right. This is in Ash's words. We all have a professional and a personal self. How do you conquer nerves and anxiety? How do you deal with defeat or pain? What drives you to succeed, and what happens when you do? Blow my mind. It is a good read. It is a good read.
You roll around in all the money. You roll around all the positive vibes.
Can't wait to talk about this book next month.
So it'd be good. I have to read it yet. So I have to get myself a copy, and I'll be reading it between. I know I've got a month, and that's the plan. And the other part too is this pushes you and I to make sure that we're always reading a book each month, because we've got to put this together.
Yeah, and in time we're going to ask the listeners, what books they want reviewed, and
that's a good idea.
If you like them, we'll give them a go.
And we're also going to see if we can get an author on the
Mm.
podcast with us for one of the episodes.
Yeah, that'd be
We'll
good.
try and get someone famous. So, okay, Carly, I think that's a wrap on this particular book. I want to thank you for coming on the Podiatry Legends podcast for the monthly book review. And hopefully, if everything goes right, there'll be some beautiful outro music happening about now that is just really totally pumped up, different to what we normally have played. So, Carly, I will be talking to you again next month.
Yeah, I will look forward to it.
Okay. See
Have
you
a
later.
good month, everyone. Bye.
Okay. Bye.